Every single day, you use this thing without thinking twice. But what if I told you that right now, at this exact moment, your fingers are following a 150-year-old trap? A trap set by a mechanical disaster, a clever con, and a ghost of a problem that hasn't existed in decades. Here's what breaks people's brains when they first hear this. There was a moment, a single specific moment in history, when someone could have fixed your keyboard and made it logical forever. They chose not to, because by then, it was already too late. You spent years of your childhood memorizing A, B, C, D, F, G. You sang the song. You colored the worksheets. You built your entire understanding of language around that sequence. Someone handed you a keyboard and said, "Good luck. Stay with me." Because by the end of this video, you're going to understand something that 99% of people who use a keyboard every single day have never stopped to question. You'll see the hidden history sitting literally right at your fingertips, and you'll never look at a keyboard the same way again. Section 1. IT started in alphabetical order. The very first keyboards were in alphabetical order. Simple. Logical. Exactly what you'd expect. The year is 1867. Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Christopher Latham Scholes, a 48-year-old newspaper publisher, is working in a cluttered machine shop smelling of oil and metal shavings. He didn't set out to invent the keyboard. He set out to build a page numbering machine. His colleague Carlos Glidden showed him an article in Scientific American about a writing machine called the teletype, a device invented by London-based engineer John Pratt that could print alphabetical letters onto paper. Scholes became obsessed. After years of prototypes and failed attempts, he built his own version. His early typewriter had keys arranged in a broadly alphabetical order, resembling a piano, 2 rows of ivory and ebony keys across a wooden frame. It was logical. Anyone could sit down, find a letter by its place in the alphabet, and strike it. But a catastrophic problem was already forming beneath the surface. Section 2. The Mechanical Nightmare. Every time you press a key on an old typewriter, a small metal arm, a type bar, swings upward, strikes an ink ribbon, and presses the letter onto paper. The English language has a problem. Certain letters almost always travel together. Th, st, h, ur. On an alphabetical keyboard, these frequently paired letters sat physically close together. When a typist hit those neighboring keys in quick succession, both metal arms would launch upward simultaneously and crash into each other in midair. The typist would have to stop everything, reach into the machine, physically untangle the jam, ink soaking into their skin, before typing another letter. Every few minutes, all day long, Scholes understood the fix. If commonly paired letters were placed far apart, their arms would never be in the air at the same time. So, he started rearranging. He brought in James Dinsmore, a relentless businessman who had backed him from the beginning. Together, they mapped which letter pairs appeared most frequently in English and deliberately, systematically, pulled those pairs apart across the keyboard. This wasn't chaos. It was a precise engineering solution to a mechanical traffic jam. But another group of users was about to walk through the door, and they would push the layout even further from the alphabet. Section 3. The telegraph operators changed everything. In telegraph offices across 1860s and 1870s America, operators transcribed Morse code signals into text for hours on end at speeds most people today couldn't match. When Scholes's early typewriters reached these operators for testing, the feedback was immediate and blunt. Certain Morse code sounds translated to letters positioned awkwardly on the alphabetical board, making rapid transcription nearly impossible. Scholes listened. He adjusted, moving letters like Z and S to positions where telegraph operators found them faster and more natural. The combination was now fully in motion, solving the mechanical jam on one side, accommodating professional users on the other. Every adjustment pulled the layout further from alphabetical logic and closer to the layout you stared at this morning without thinking. By the early 1870s, the layout had crystallized into what we now call QWERTY, named after the first 6 letters on the top row. But Scholes didn't stay to see what happened next. And what happened next is the part most people never hear. Section 4. The Remington deal and the trap is set. Scholes sold his invention to Remington. Yes, the same name you know from firearms. After the Civil War, Remington had pivoted to precision manufacturing. When they saw Scholz's typewriter, they recognized it immediately. This was the future of office work. In 1878, Remington released the number 2 typewriter built around the QWERTY layout. It was a commercial success on a scale Scholz had never imagined. Typewriting schools opened. Touch typing courses were developed, engineered specifically around this layout. Instructors built entire curricula training students through sheer repetition until the layout lived not in their minds, but in their muscles. Businesses hired QWERTY-trained typists. Governments used QWERTY machines. Newspapers, law firms, banks, all built operations around it. The trap had been set. Nobody felt it closing. Because the danger wasn't that QWERTY would fail. The danger was that it would succeed so completely, embedded so deeply in commerce, education, and muscle memory, that even when the original mechanical problem ceased to exist, nobody could let it go. Section 5. Computers arrived, and we kept the broken layout. Computers arrived. And here is the fact that should stop you. Computers don't have type bars. The entire original reason for QWERTY's chaotic arrangement had permanently ceased to exist. We could have switched. We could have built something optimized for speed, comfort, and how human hands actually move. But by the time computers arrived, millions of people had spent years, entire careers, training their hands on QWERTY. It was a profession, an identity, a prerequisite on job applications. Every machine in every office used it. So the computer industry kept QWERTY, because changing it would break every person and system that depended on it. Economists call this path dependence, the QWERTY effect. An early standard, even a flawed one, becomes impossible to remove. Not because it's superior, simply because the cost of escape is higher than the cost of staying. VHS beat Betamax, not because it was technically superior, but because it established enough early market dominance that everyone built around it. QWERTY did the same thing. Now here's the question I hear most often at this point. Why not just switch to Alphabetical? It seems obvious. It was the original. It makes sense, except it doesn't. And understanding why is where this gets genuinely surprising. Section 6. Why alphabetical order was never the answer. The most common letters in English, E, T, A, O, I, N, make up nearly half of everything we type. On an alphabetical keyboard, your fingers would sprint from one end to the other constantly. The distance traveled per keystroke would be enormous. Speed would be glacial. QWERTY, for all its flaws, at least places several common letters in accessible positions, a byproduct of its anti-jamming design. It's imperfect, but it was never designed to be perfect. Familiarity and efficiency are not the same thing. So if alphabetical is worse and QWERTY is a compromise, what's actually better? That's where things get genuinely strange. Rare insight number 1. Your keyboard is biased against right-handed people. On a QWERTY keyboard, thousands of common English words can be typed using only the left hand, far more than with the right. Words like stewardess, reverberated, after effects, tessellated, all left hand only. That's a significant bias toward the left hand on a planet where roughly 90% of people are right-handed. And here's where it gets almost conspiratorial. The word typewriter can be spelled entirely using letters on the top row of the keyboard. From a 19th century salesman's perspective, that's a built-in product demonstration. Sit down, type the machine's own name fluidly using just the top row. The customer is impressed before you said a word. One of the earliest examples of product demonstration as a marketing tool, baked directly into your keyboard layout 150 years later. But here's what most keyboard videos skip entirely. Rare insight number 2. The Dvorak advantage is more complicated than people claim. Developed by August Dvorak and his brother-in-law William Dealey and patented in 1936, the Dvorak layout places common English letters on the home row, vowels on the left, common consonants on the right, designed to maximize hand alternation and reduce finger travel. Most people assume Dvorak is obviously superior. Most keyboard videos present it that way. Here's what they skip. The evidence for Dvorak's superiority is genuinely contested. A 1956 U.S. General Services Administration study found no statistically significant speed or accuracy advantage for Dvorak users over experienced QWERTY typists. Dvorak advocates have challenged that methodology for decades, and many individual users swear by it for comfort. The point, QWERTY survival isn't purely stubborn irrationality. It's complicated. So if Dvorak isn't clearly better, is there anything that is? Rare insight number 3. There's a modern alternative most people have never heard of. Colmac, developed by Shai Coleman in 2006, moves only 17 keys from their QWERTY positions. It keeps common shortcuts, Control plus Z, Control plus C, Control plus V, in their familiar locations. It doesn't ask you to unlearn everything. There's also the Workman layout, designed to minimize lateral finger strain for people typing 6 to 8 hours a day. Neither has dented QWERTY's dominance. But for people dealing with wrist pain at 35 because of a 150-year-old design decision, it's a meaningful option. Rare insight number 4. QWERTY was never even universal. France uses QWERTY. Germany uses QWERTY. Russia, Arabic-speaking countries, Japan, Korea, all have their own arrangements. QWERTY won because of when it arrived and who was selling it, not because it was the best possible answer. It's a specifically American English commercial victory dressed up as a universal standard. And yet, every decade, someone announces it's finally about to be replaced. Rare insight number 5. The real challenger isn't a better keyboard. It's no keyboard at all. Every decade, someone announces QWERTY is finally about to be replaced. By Dvorak, by Colmac, by touchscreens. None of them dethroned it. The touchscreen keyboard on your phone is just QWERTY made of glass. But the real challenger might be something entirely different. AI-powered voice recognition has reached accuracy levels that would have seemed like science fiction 15 years ago. The QWERTY debate has raged for 150 years, debating which letters should sit where. But that entire debate assumes typing will always be how humans communicate with machines. It may not be. The QWERTY era may end not with a better keyboard, but with silence. So there it is. It started with a page numbering machine in a Milwaukee workshop. It ran through mechanical disasters, telegraph offices, and industrial deal-making. It survived the death of the very problem it was designed to solve, and showed up unchanged on the device you're watching this on right now. You're typing on a 150-year-old compromise. Not the most logical design, not the fastest, not the most ergonomic, simply the one that won first and never let go. Now, let's test that left-hand bias. Go into the comments and type the longest word you can using only the left side of your keyboard. I'll be reading every one. If your brain is buzzing a little, good. Hit like if you learned something. Share this with one curious person who'd never expect a story this good hiding inside a keyboard. Subscribe, because every video on this channel finds the extraordinary history hiding inside ordinary things. Until next time, keep questioning the things you never thought to question.